Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where we're going to break down everything you need to know about sole proprietorship. If you're thinking about starting a business but feeling overwhelmed by all the legal structures out there, well, you're in the right place. So, what exactly is a sole proprietorship? Well, it's basically the simplest form of business ownership there is. In fact, if you're selling homemade jewelry on Etsy or doing freelance graphic design work, guess what? You might already be operating as a sole proprietorship without even realizing it. The thing is, a sole proprietorship is a business that's owned and operated by just one person, and there's no legal distinction between the business and the owner. This means that you and your business are considered the same entity for legal and tax purposes. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, you might be wondering why someone would choose this business structure over others like an LLC or corporation. And honestly, there are some pretty compelling reasons. First and foremost, it's incredibly easy to set up. Unlike other business structures that require filing paperwork with your state and paying fees, a sole proprietorship can often be started with virtually no formal action. You just start doing business. That's it. Another major advantage is the simplicity of taxes. With a sole proprietorship, you don't file separate business tax returns. Instead, all your business profits and losses simply pass through to your personal tax return using something called Schedule C. So basically, you're saving yourself from a ton of complicated paperwork come tax season. Plus, you have complete control over your business. There are no partners to consult, no board of directors to report to. Every decision is yours to make. For many entrepreneurs, especially those just starting out, this level of autonomy is really appealing. Oh, and let's not forget about the cost factor. Starting a sole proprietorship is typically much less expensive than forming an LLC or corporation. In fact, in many cases, the startup costs are close to zero if you're running a simple business from home. That's a huge advantage when you're bootstrapping your way to success. Before you dive headfirst into setting up your sole proprietorship, though, there are some important things you should know. The biggest one, and I really need to emphasize this, is personal liability. You see, in a sole proprietorship, you are personally responsible for all debts and legal issues related to your business. This means that if your business gets sued or can't pay its debts, your personal assets like your home, car, and savings could be at risk. That's definitely something to think about carefully. Now, if you're concerned about this liability issue but still love the simplicity of a sole proprietorship, you might want to consider using Taylor Brands to set up an LLC instead. They make the process super easy, and you can find a discount link in the description and pinned comment below. So, what makes a sole proprietorship different from other business structures? Well, the thing is, a sole proprietorship is basically the simplest form of business ownership you can have. Unlike an LLC or corporation, there's no legal separation between you and your business. You are the business, and the business is you, which, has both advantages and disadvantages. The main thing to understand is that with a sole proprietorship, you don't actually create a separate legal entity. You're just in business. That's it. There's no paperwork to file with the state to form a sole proprietorship like you would with an LLC. You basically just start doing business activities and boom, you're automatically a sole proprietor. Now, this simplicity is actually what makes sole proprietorship so attractive to many first-time entrepreneurs. There's no complex paperwork, no filing fees, and honestly, you can get started right away. But on the other hand, this simplicity comes with some serious drawbacks we'll talk about in a minute. When it comes to naming your sole proprietorship, you actually have two options. First, you can simply use your own name like John Smith Plumbing or Jane Doe Consulting. This requires absolutely zero paperwork or registration in most places. But let's say you want something more creative or marketable. In that case, you'll need to register what's called a Doing Business As name, or DBA. So, for example, if I'm Sarah Johnson but want my business to be called Sunrise Bakery, I'd need to file a DBA. The process for getting a DBA varies by location, but typically you'll need to check if your desired name is available, file a DBA application with your county clerk's office, pay a small registration fee, usually between $25 and $100, publish a notice in a local newspaper in some states. Once approved, you can legally operate under your business name, open a bank account with it, and put it on all your marketing materials. And actually, this is one step I definitely recommend taking, even though it's technically optional because it makes your business look much more professional. Now, even though you don't need to file formation documents for a sole proprietorship, you might still need certain licenses or permits depending on what type of business you're running. For instance, if you're selling food, you'll need health department permits. If you're cutting hair, you'll need a cosmetology license. And if you're doing certain professional services like accounting, plumbing, or real estate, you'll need the appropriate professional licenses. The easiest way to figure out what you need is to check with your city or county clerk's office. They can tell you exactly which permits apply to your specific business. You might also want to check with your state's Department of Business Regulation or similar agency. And you know what? This is actually where services like Taylor Brands can be super helpful. They offer business formation packages that include research into what licenses and permits you might need for your specific business. You can find a discount link for Taylor Brands in the description and pinned comment below if you want to save some time on this research. Now, after you've chosen your business name, you'll need to actually make things official by filing paperwork with your state or local government. This step varies depending on where you live, but it's typically pretty straightforward. If you're operating under a name different from your legal name, you'll need to file what's called a DBA, or doing business as form. So if your name is John Smith, but your business is called Smith's Amazing Widgets, you'll need to register that business name. This usually costs between $20 and $100, depending on your location, and you can typically file at your county clerk's office or through your state's business portal. Now, here's where things get a bit tricky. You might need specific licenses or permits depending on what you're selling. For example, if you're starting a food business, you'll likely need health department permits. If you're offering professional services like accounting, you might need professional licenses. The thing is, these requirements vary widely by location and industry, so it's worth checking with your local small business administration office to make sure you're covered. And an EIN is basically a social security number for your business. While it's not always required for your sole proprietors with no employees, I honestly recommend getting one anyway. It's completely free through the IRS website, and it helps keep your personal and business finances separate. Plus, many banks require an EIN to open a business bank account, which is something you should definitely do. First and foremost, don't mix personal and business finances. I mean, seriously, this is probably the biggest mistake I see new sole proprietors make. Open a separate business checking account and use a dedicated business credit card for expenses. This makes tax time so much easier and helps establish your business as legitimate. Another common mistake, forgetting about taxes. Unlike employees who have taxes withheld from their paychecks, sole proprietors need to make quarterly estimated tax payments. And don't forget, you'll be paying self-employment tax too, which covers Social Security and Medicare contributions. So, now that you understand what a sole proprietorship is and how to start one, what's next? Well, I'd recommend connecting with Taylor Brands to help you with branding and business formation needs. They offer amazing services for new business owners, and you can find a discount link in the description and pinned comment below. Remember, starting a business is a journey, not a destination. As your business grows, you might want to consider transitioning to an LLC or corporation for additional protection. But for now, a sole proprietorship is a great way to test your business idea without a lot of upfront cost or paperwork. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your new business venture.